After a busy day, the Las Vegas Raiders have set their 53-man roster heading into the 2023 NFL season. Now, you're going to see the list of cuts here to our, it's our right, your guys' left, whatever it is for you guys. But overall, you see the list of cuts. You see the guys that are going to potentially have to find other teams. But I still think obviously you're going to have to still pick 16 names out of this one that are going to be in the practice squad for the Raiders. So you're not that worried about it. But today, we're going to go over the recap, kind of what we took away from it, and then also, hey, who's going to potentially be on the practice squad for the Raiders. So it starts off with here David Ogoa, who was cut, the defensive end that got a sack against the Rams earlier in the preseason. I felt like he did enough to at least warrant a practice squad spot, but this one isn't really that big of a shocker, especially after you drafted Tyree Wilson in the first round. You got Max Crosby, you got Chandler Jones, Malcolm Kuntz had a good preseason. Getting to be a crowded defensive end room, so I kind of get this one. Defensive tackle Matthew Butler, the former 5th-round pick out of Tennessee last year. This one's kind of a shocker to me because this is both defensive tackles that the Raiders gave up after a year. Neil Farrell Jr., the 4th-round pick from last year from LSU, and then now Matthew Butler, the 5th-round pick from Tennessee in the 2022 NFL Draft. So both defensive tackles that they selected in 2022, gone. Hasta la vista, baby. Now, Matthew Butler, I think he's probably a candidate for being a practice squad guy, mainly because there's a lot of different things kind of going on with this one, and there's going to be a lot of players that are still going to be back for the Raiders. So Matthew Butler, I still think there's a possibility. McClendon Curtis, the guard out of Tennessee Chattanooga, the guy that we were praising, him and Drake Thomas were the two most praised guys by us. I felt like he did not really get a lot of an opportunity to be able to go in there and do his thing, but hey, overall, I liked McClendon Curtis. I think he's also another practice squad guy. Tight end Cole Fotheringham, he's another guy that, I think he is in the mix, or at least going to be on the practice squad as well. So between Butler, Curtis, and Fotheringham, I think there's three guys right there that most likely will be in the mix on the practice squad in some sorts. Fotheringham did have a good first game against the 49ers, showed off some blocking ability as well as some catching ability. Safety Jaden Grant, overall he played pretty well throughout the preseason, but this is kind of a stacked cornerback room for the Raiders, but also there's a lot of other positions that are going to get kind of selected in that regard, that are going to get kind of more of a premium in this particular instance, mainly with the fact that you're going to have at least 5 edge rushers, but we'll get into that later. So Jaden Grant, he's let go. It is what it is. Tyler Hull, who we thought, this one was kind of a shock. Thought he played pretty well throughout the preseason. It is what it is. Had a pick, but Azizi Hearn, who was targeted early and often, not really much of a shocker there. Kenai Malaga, I know that's not even close to correct, but yep, didn't really hear a lot about him. Netani Moody, thought he played pretty well, especially against the 49ers, but hey, practice squad guy potentially. Adam Plant, again, really not enough noise, even though he did get a lot of snaps, whether it was against the Cowboys or it was against the Rams. Felt like he had an opportunity to separate himself. Didn't do that. John Samuel Shanker, it was just added. Nope, can't totally get it. George Tarlas, when you have Trey Lance when you're responsible for, not Trey Lance, Stetson Bennett's lone touchdown run against the Rams, yeah, I kind of get that one. But overall, George Tarlas did come up with a couple of pressures, but I get it at the same time. Drake Thomas is the shocker of the year for me because Drake Thomas, to me, showed that he is in every way better than Luke Masterson. Like, no question. This one is a shocker to me. I would be dumbfounded and very upset if this man did not get an opportunity to be on the practice squad because he deserves to be at least that 4th or 5th linebacker for the Raiders. Sam Webb also played very well throughout the preseason. I think most of these guys are going to be on the practice squad. So, again, getting cut, not necessarily the end of the world, but it is a shocker to say the least. Alex Bars, it is what it is. Felt like there were a lot of good guards that really, guys like Greg Van Roten that did step up and do a lot of good things. Keelan Cole Sr., between him and Philip Dorsett, these two guys, them getting cut is kind of a shocker there. So, I think overall, Trey Tucker did enough to stick around. And plus you had DeAndre Carter, who's kind of a speedster return man too, so I get it. Haranis Grasu, backup, second, third string center between Jordan Meredith and Andre Jameis. I get it. I completely get this one. You usually don't keep your third string center. Jaden Grant. Did we put Jaden Grant on here twice? We did. Nice. But again, not really of a shock. Safety, Jaquan Johnson, the veteran. I mean, you got a lot of guys, Marcus Epps, that you brought in, Trayvon Morig, that I think is going to get yet another opportunity as well. Christopher Smith II made it, so he did a lot of things in special teams too. That's going to be a guy you're going to want to keep an eye on. So Isaac Rochelle kind of balled out a little bit, but I mean, again, it's a deep D-end room. I completely get it. Felt like he should have been given more of an opportunity. I think he's a practice squad guy at the end of the day. Duke Shelley, I feel bad for Duke Shelley. Even though I think he's a practice squad guy coming over from the Vikings last year, I felt he had an opportunity to come in and solidify himself. Did not have a good preseason, but it's the NFL. It's a tough business. I think he's a practice squad guy, though. Cam Sims, the monster, is like 6'5", 220, 230 pounds. I mean, he'll provide something different for your offense, but I also get that at the end of the day. And then with the resigning of Josh Jacobs, Damian Williams, I mean, he's the odd man out. He's a veteran, but also I kind of get it to a degree. And then finally Jordan Willis, who I thought did enough to stick around, but hey, we've been proved wrong on a lot of these. He was shown the door as well, but I think he'll be a practice squad guy when it's all said and done. But as we go through, those are the tweets we did from the Josh Jacobs video the other day. But here's the depth chart here for the Raiders. Not really a whole lot of shockers, I would say, but Christian Wilkerson makes the roster. He was a guy that we were pulling for. Glad to see it. But there's a couple of other guys, Jacob Hollister and Isaiah Zuber, Dalton Wagner also on IR. Those three guys are going to be placed there. Jordan Perriman, like we've discussed, also on IR, as well as Darian Butler. So a couple of guys here, how it all stacked up. I'm pretty excited about this squad. I think that, top to bottom, you got to be really excited about it. And to my knowledge, I really feel like this entire draft class for the Raiders is going to be really well. Most of your guys made it, so it is what it is there at the end of the day. And that has been the update. We'll keep you updated as well on the practice squad candidates that are going to come up for the Raiders. Definitely going to be kind of going through it. But hey, let us know what you guys think about the 53-man roster now officially set by the Raiders and all the cuts. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below. But at the end of the day, let us know what you guys think about the Raiders trimming down their roster.